Welcome to episode 3 of the Philly Father podcast. Before we start, I just wanted to plug our socials. Please like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube. We've already launched on that platform, and I just actually made an Instagram where we also want to try to get some live pics from my dad. He's been on a roll as of lately. And then we're also going to be on Spotify. So
rolling.
It's been a couple weeks since our last podcast. I think leading into that, we were heavily discussing the finals. They were in action. We all know how that ended at this point. And then there's been some great baseball. I think we're leading into the Mets series, which went well. We took the series with the Mets. And there's been the NBA draft and the NHL draft. And obviously there's been a lot with baseball every day. We're actually watching the Phillies right now. This series is 1-1 and they're in a tight game at Atlanta. So
we up 2-1.
Yeah. So taking a look at the standings, the top teams right now is LA and Detroit, both with 52 wins. The Phillies sit the top of the NL East with a half game up on the Mets, who haven't been great as of late.
They're losing 6-1 right now to the Pirates, are beating them up. Although the Pirates took us down pretty hard.
They did.
Earlier,
it's weird.
But they're doing us a favor with the Mets right now, too.
Yeah.
But they have not been good.
They have not been good. I mean, the Phillies had a letdown series against Houston. They've been up and down. It is a long season, so I do think some people overreact to a series like that. Yes, it was bad. What did they put up? One run in
3 games. It was horrific. Terrible
With
series.
great pitch.
Yeah, they wasted some real good pitching.
Yeah.
Guys like Wheeler had a good outing.
Yeah.
But when you give up one run, you're hoping you can pull off and get scored something.
Right.
That was at one point, I forget if they scored any more runs in that last game, but I think at one point late in the third game that Houston only scored 4 runs in the series and swept us.
Isn't that insane?
That's
How often
crazy.
Does that happen in baseball?
Not
we got phenomenal. They have good pitching too. They do. They really do.
But I mean, I also thought that Phillies just were not on their game.
No, they're not.
They need Harper back.
Bad.
Whether he's even hitting great or he's hot or not, he gets other teammates' pitches.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Sometimes they walk him. He gets on base. He does run hard. He plays hard. So they will enjoy getting him back.
It just helps because he's going to get pitched around. It just benefits everyone around him in the lineup.
And I'm going to tell you, right now, I'm not taking Otto out of that lineup.
No.
I will take Kepler out first because he's not liking that. He's not liking his playing time. I got news for him. The other kid rolls out of bed and hits.
Yeah.
He sees the ball. He hits the ball. Kepler against right-handed pitching, which is what he was brought in for. Pitches that are going down the middle, he's fouling them off. He's not doing a job against right-handed pitching.
Right.
And he wants to start against left-handed pitching. That's not going to happen if he doesn't start putting up some numbers.
Right. I think it's a crucial trade deadline, we've got a little time. It'll actually be after the All-Star break. July 31st at 6 p.m. is actually the MLB trade deadline. I think a lot of us Phillies fans like where we stand. They go through their ups and downs. Again, it's a really, really long season. I think our hope and what we need in order to form our championship run heading into September, October is a really, really good bullpen arm and a really good right-handed bat.
That's it.
That's
there.
it. That's
Those
the two pieces.
Yeah.
If they don't...
That's the wish list.
Yeah.
And I will say this. Sometimes I do get frustrated when they get that average right-handed guy.
Exactly.
That he's done some things at some points of his career, but he's not the big name.
Exactly.
But I will say this: in past seasons, that was the type of guys that people picked up, and they got hot in the series. And what was the guy from San Fran that did it? He was a right-handed hitter like that, and he beat us too.
No.
But there's been several guys like that over the years.
I know.
That have just got hot. That was the right pickup.
Yep.
But they have to fit. I'm not even sure if Kepler's a good fit for this locker room. Even.
Well,
I don't know.
If they have a good vibe, and the whole thing with the Phillies has been vibes, and then you're gonna complain about playing time. They have not had any issues like that with anybody. Even
And
Marsh has been sent down and had a good attitude.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Right. That's a good point. Now, the Castellanos got sat down during the middle of a game that they were losing. And he didn't like it, and he said something.
He's responded well.
And for once, Coach Rob is getting a little tougher with him. So he sat, and Kepler got sat. It was against left-handed pitching.
Right.
You're not hitting right-handed pitching. We're not leaving you in against left-handed pitching, too.
Yeah.
And then he's saying he can't go, in a rhythm against, lefties because he's not playing. But he's been playing the majority of the games. And you know what your problem is? We got to see you actually hit. Prove it first.
Yeah. No, I think, though, if we're going to make that argument, though, we're going to make an example out of Castellanos, who never missed a game. You do have guys like Rojas on the roster.
But if you're going to do it with somebody Cassie's been a big part of the locker room and a leader of the team. So if you do it to him, that should open the door for you to do it to Kepler,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or you could do it to one of your higher paid guys who messes up like a trade.
Well, I mean,
Trey's had a great year, though. I won't give him that.
I think back to Charlie Emmanuel.
Yeah.
He would do it to Jimmy Rollins if he didn't run out to first base.
Yeah. People forget that.
Jimmy would take his medicine and play hard the next time. You know, so
I think people forget that.
You have to do it. You can't. The day and age where a coach has to have a backbone now. Like, I can't get the player upset, and I guess it does lead to they make more money than the coach. So I guess he's going to get fired first, but not for Kepler. Not for Kepler.
No, and the thing is, Philly has been on Rob about being that guy, that he's just such like the players coach guy. Right. He doesn't speak up. He's trying. I think he's trying to like my dad said, have a little bit of a backbone. So I think people have had mixed opinions on that, but I like it. I think there's nothing wrong with it.
But the other thing is, I mean, it's media is a big pain in the
butt.
But because you have to sit there and talk every day like, oh my God, now you guys stink. You're not scoring a run 2 days in a row. It's a long season. Right now, they sit on top of the National League East.
Exactly.
And yes, maybe the Mets have been bad lately, but they're doing what it takes to, maybe get through a bad stretch and then turn it around and have 5 or 6 good ones in a row. It's just, let's face it, when you get into the playoffs or you're getting towards the end of the season, playoffs are getting ready to start, you got to hope that team's getting hot then and stays hot through the series.
And I know Schwarber's had a slight recent skid where he hasn't been as hot as he was, but he's still 4th in the league in homers at 25, tied for 4th with Suarez. Just throwing that out there. And then I think one of the biggest players that we gave a little flack the last couple of years was Trey Turner, but he's having a very good year.
Real good year. Yeah.
He's 4th in the league with hits at 100 right now. And then I think he's up there in the batting average standings as well.
Yeah.
15th. He's right under 300. He's at 299, which
but
is
he's doing his job. He's doing what was asked of him to get on base, steal base. How many? What's he have? 22.
He was up there with that as well.
I know he's over 20 stolen bases, and that's good. And I think
20
that's
right
the
now.
player he
Tied for
is. 10. It was that everybody was expecting him to hit home runs because of the World Baseball Championships. And he kind of went crazy.
That guy.
But he's that guy that if he works on getting on base, stealing bases, scoring runs, and then the home runs come, then he's a monster. But right now, I'd rather take that. Although we need some power from somebody else, and I think we're going to have to get that help later. For the trade deadline.
Yeah.
You got to get something power-wise.
And we really need Harper back. When did you say his return was expected?
Tomorrow.
That's going to be great.
Yeah, they open I don't know if I think it's a 3-game series with San Diego, and I think they held him back from this. But now that we go home tomorrow, what I'm hearing is that he's likely playing tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if not, maybe one of these games this week will be his first game back.
Which it'll, like we said, it'll just be so.
What's getting to be, maybe be a little bit hard to deal with, or you're going to have to do something. Is we've got a lot of first base, third base, DH guys.
Right.
Where are you going? I guess Otto Kemp's going to go to the outfield. They've been putting Schwarber a little bit out there, and Harper said he would go out there. I don't know if that's helping us that much defensively.
Right.
Kepler, if one thing he's done is played a pretty good defense.
And I think it's still
But you have three guys, like you have between Bohm, Otto, Kemp, Schwarber, and Harper. It's all first baseman, third baseman type. So somebody's got to, and maybe they just go Otto's the guy that was brought up, so they don't. But boy, I want to get rid of him anytime soon because I think that guy is hitting, and we need it.
My question is also, there's been a lot of mixed thoughts on bringing up any of the Phillies prospects this season later on to help us.
I got a thought.
What's your thought on that?
I'm bringing up Justin Crawford.
Yeah. What about Painter as like?
Yeah, Painter. I heard he could be brought up as a relief pitcher.
Right.
To start with, I don't know if you want to mess with that. If he's going to be a starter, I'd leave him in that role.
That's how I think the overall consensus is on that.
But they might bring him up like when you have the. I think it's after the trade deadline. You also can the roster expands to 30 or 31 or even higher, and then that's when you bring some guys up that you can get some time on.
Just want to look at the Phillies week coming up. Oh, they've got a couple. Their next series is heading into a home series against San Diego, so it'd be perfect time to have Harper back.
Yes.
San Diego's been pretty solid.
Oh yeah, they're going to be. I mean that and now West is good also. Between them and the Dodgers and San Fran. A little bit, and now they have Devers.
Yep,
so.
They play them this week as well. Play San Diego, and then we play Cincinnati at home, and then we play San Francisco. So that's the Phillies' upcoming week. Hopefully we can get a little gap between us and the Mets going. Obviously the Mets have been in a little bit of a skid as of late.
And we haven't been home that much lately, and history says, we're pretty good at home. So hopefully. Now recently I think we had a bad series at home. But for the most part, they're known to be good at home, and they've had a long. That's been so for the last 3 years or more. So I think that's when I'm looking for them to start making that move, get a little hot at All-Star break, and then keep that momentum going for the playoffs.
Which I heard the Phillies have had no one in the All-Star voting.
But with that, sometimes you have to look at if certain teams had a big homestand, they get a lot more votes, and then other teams when they get home, they start getting more. I don't know. Got to hope that way. I don't really care about the All-Star games anymore.
No.
It's about winning the championship and being ready for the end run. So I think overall, my outlook right now is a positive one.
Yeah.
Let's face it, we're still maybe the best pitching in baseball. Definitely best starting pitching in baseball.
I don't think that can be argued.
I don't think. I think that's the best starting pitching in baseball. They have the potential to hit. They hit at times. It's kind of strange. They have. This was about a week or two ago. I heard it. They led the league in 10-hit games. They had 30 10-hit games, which was weird because at the time they brought that up, they really weren't hitting that well.
Right.
But but that's what I'm saying. Is sometimes you got to get. But now I do feel like they've got to get an impact right-handed hitter. Yeah. Where to play him, I'm not positive, but you'll be able to get a guy in. And then even if it just makes your bench and your depth stronger, because you're going to need it in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Every at-bat is way more tight.
Yeah.
And every at-bat is...
And you're going to need, because sometimes you're going to need, then late in the game, you want to put your defensive guys in.
Right.
In that eighth inning.
Yes.
Hopefully to protect the lead and win. And then to also protect that lead is what you talked about earlier, is getting help in the bullpen.
And how disappointing has Strahm been? I thought he was a solid reliever.
Yeah. He was, prior to the All-Star break last year, was it him and...
Hoffman.
Hoffman.
They were
like all-star. They were untouchable.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the second half of the season, they got touched.
Who's our best reliever?
But I think they ran into some hot hitting teams in the playoffs.
Oh my gosh, the Mets were at their peak hot. It was.
They were on the roll, and now now that we'll have to see, because their pitching hasn't been that bad, even though they've suffered some injuries.
Right. Yeah, I know. They're
so
not.
I think we got them, in the starting pitching, but I think they're hitting a little better than us.
One other little tidbit, just non-Phillies related. Ohtani, he took his third time on the mound, and he went 1-2-3, and he hit his highest velocity of 101.7 miles per hour.
Oh, yeah, no, I saw that.
Yeah.
And he went over 100 several times during his outing.
They lost the game. I think he only came in he's only been an inning.
Yeah.
But how incredible that he's
he's the best player
I'm
in
sorry.
baseball.
He impresses me.
Yeah.
But we're over the halfway mark officially of the season. So far the Phillies season has been great. I mean, they're first place in the NL East. We just got to keep that rolling, keep that pace. We know that there's going to be some more
and even though Harper is hurt, they haven't had any real bad.
No.
This doesn't seem like it's going to be something that lingers, but it may hang around here a little bit all year.
Also, Nola.
He's got to play.
We've had no Nola.
That was one big one, but he happened to not be pitching well either. So our starting pitching is
really good. It hasn't.
It might be better right now. It is.
No, I think Nola was hurting us before he went down.
Well, and I guess the fifth guy, is Abel, right?
Yeah.
Because you have Sanchez, Suarez, Wheeler, and
who's obviously our one is Wheeler. Like that's no question. And then what would be your starting pitchers for the playoffs? Say you go with like 3.
I mean, the way right now he's pitching today. Ranger has been really good of late. So is Sanchez. Oh, and then Luzardo's the other guy.
Oh yeah.
But he's
been up and down.
He's got me baffled now.
Yeah.
He was really strong, and when he's on, he's good. And it's kind of funny because him and Suarez kind of remind me of each other. The way they pitch from the but if it's good Luzardo, but I mean we may not need him to be a starter in the playoffs if Rangers who he is and Wheeler of course, and then you could Christopher Sanchez could be the guy that's the number 3. So yeah, but I would love to have Luzardo be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't think our starting pitching is anything to worry about in the postseason. It's really the question mark of the bullpen. If we could do something to improve there and just keep the bats hot going into the postseason and hopefully at a
And that was the other thing about bringing up Justin Crawford. I feel like this team has been way down on power than it's been in the past season.
They are not a power hitting
but
team.
They have scored in other ways this year that helps them win some of these close. They win a lot of close games. Pitching, they're always going to be in games, so you have to learn how to score in other ways. So I feel like if they bring up Crawford, he steals bases. I think he's well over 20 stolen bases this year. So that's another guy who can get on with speed, or even if he's a pinch runner, at times for somebody late in the game and you need a stolen base, get it in the scoring position. So that's something that, could be a factor. But again, it'll come down to what they do, what kind of moves they make at the break. But I'm looking for them to be certainly in the mix in the National League.
Close to 100 wins. I think they're on pace for about 96.
Yeah, I think we're gonna show Ohtani something in the.
Oh my gosh! I can't wait.
Yeah.
October is gonna be fun. Red October.
Yeah.
All right. With that, also this past week, let's touch on the NBA draft that just happened, and that was exciting. Well, it shouldn't have been, but it was exciting for us Sixers fans because we had a lottery pick with the 3rd overall. There was a lot of speculation on what they were going to do with the pick, but I'm happy with what they ended up doing. Obviously, Cooper Flagg went 1st overall. That was no surprise.
No.
And Dylan Harper went 2nd overall, which was also not a surprise. And the Sixers ended up taking VJ Edgecombe, 6'5" guard out of Baylor. What are your thoughts on that pick?
I like the pick. I mean, he is. He says all the right things.
Yeah.
The number one. That's the part I like about him. He wants to play. He takes it personal when people score against him. He brings that up before he brings up anything else.
Yeah.
And then he was also, I think, the highest scoring freshman in the Big 12.
Yes.
Last season, he had averaged 15 points a game.
That's exactly what he averaged.
So,
2.1
he can score, and he's kind of dynamic when going to the net. He might be a slam dunk contest guy. I had the other guys I kind of liked was that Trey Johnson, just because the NBA is about shooting, and he was, I think, probably the best shooter in the draft, they said.
Yep.
I don't know a whole lot about him, but he could shoot.
Nice boom off the wall.
I thought it was going to be a bone blast.
Schwarber's kicking.
Yeah, well, nobody out.
Yeah, I will take it. But yes, I think you got the right read on that. I think that was the overall consensus. It was him or Trey Johnson was, I think, like the preference for most.
And then I have to say this. I don't know if you were looking at my text, but I said Broom. Broom from Auburn.
You did say that.
And I loved them in the tournament last year because we did see a lot of Auburn. They ran deep.
Yeah.
And when it was late in the game, and they rode that guy's coattails. I mean, with rebounding and scoring. So will he be that guy right away in the NBA? No, but his style is another hard playing guy.
He is, but I don't know if he's going to translate to the NBA because he lacks athleticism. He had the lowest vertical in the combine. Like, he can't jump. But he did average. He
just plays the game the right way.
He's
smart.
You're right. He's a winner.
He's smart. He plays defense, and he's an offensive scorer.
He's averaged. I looked it up. Last season, his fifth college season at Auburn, he averaged 18.6, 2.1 blocks a game, and 10.8 rebounds.
Yeah.
Not bad.
In the SEC.
Yeah. It went far in the tournament.
Yeah.
And he was a big, big factor with that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it is really hard to judge, how great they're going to translate into the NBA. But I don't want troubles like Ace Bailey.
That's right. Yeah.
He may be a stud too. But if I'm making a pick that early, I don't want to have a question about somebody's attitude.
Absolutely not. That's the last thing. With the Sixers who have struggled with culture for the last several years, you don't need another non-culture guy coming in and causing more problems as if we need that. What I do love, we could give Morey as much crap as we wanted the last few years. He has been wrong in a lot of ways. But I do think he is doing his part, at least in like drafting and picking up these players like a Grimes, a Yabusele, to shift the culture a little bit. You can't do much about
after he made picks like he made a big play for Harden, who was a total attitude guy. Yeah. I mean, the guy can shoot. He can play, but he's got he doesn't win. He's got a crappy attitude.
Yeah, you're right.
And I don't know why he keeps going for these guys. But right now, we just got to have that hope that Paul George had a bad season last year, and he's going to be healthy this year.
And
got to bank on Embiid's health. These other guys are nice pickups, but they don't mean anything if those two guys aren't doing anything. But our backcourt's real good now. I love it.
We've got probably one of the best backcourts in the NBA.
No, I've heard talking about
that. But again, you're right. It does all ride and die with the Joel Embiid. I'd take 50 to 55 good games out of him. I really would at this point.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely. So
anything over 50 is good, especially if it's done because it is management.
Yes.
And it's not because, we had to miss 7 games in a row because of
that's
a bad,
not
reoccurring knee injury. But it's just been so long to see him run through a real long, healthy stretch. Right. It's hard to believe that's, that you can bank on that this year.
No, you're
gotta hope for it. I'm gonna hope that, like heck for it, but
yeah.
I don't know if I feel confident.
And I know you brought up, and you're right, we are small. We've got we're guard heavy.
Yeah.
And
I want more length and size, definitely.
And that was what Ace Bailey could have provided, but we did avoid that. But I'm glad we went with the best player available that we thought was the best player. You don't draft for need, you draft for what you think is going to be the best player.
If he's a good player, he'll find a way to fit.
Exactly.
Good players do. And ones that are thinking D, and D and 3, I guess you could call him. If he's thinking that way, I think a few of those guys on the team, you have your stars scoring, and then you need a bunch of those guys, and that's how you're going to be good then.
Yes.
Because you're fighting, you're staying in games, it's close. then you got to hopefully the big guys come up big.
Yeah, I want players that want to play in the city, though. Like, just watching his reaction alone, I just hadn't seen that in any of our recent lottery picks. Crying, already, like, hungry in the gym, so excited to be in Philly. So I'm rooting for him, and I hope that, we see a little
he's hungry
shift.
in the gym, and he wants a cheesesteak too. So.
Yeah, he did say that. I was listening to his interview.
Oh, good place to eat.
Well, and then he was already saying "Go Birds," so he's buying.
Yeah, that was the other thing.
He's pandering.
Yeah, he's sucking up to the fans. He said "Go Birds," but
he's got to know.
Gotta love it.
We might turn on you if you have a bad shooting stretch.
Yeah.
Which that was the concern.
He'll learn they start Eagles chants at Sixers games.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when we're bad. Yeah. And the Eagles won it all. A couple people look like they're going to be back on the Sixers, just worth mentioning. Andre Drummond opted into his contract. As much I really was not happy with him. I would hope that they could find a way to trade him. And then Kelly Oubre.
He actually had a good stretch last year where he
Yeah.
was starting, but he then had some injury problems too.
I know, like foot or something.
Yeah. But he ended up averaging over 7 points a game and almost 8 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
Which I would take off my bench if I knew it was a backup. But I kind of like, there was a couple guys in the draft that were centers I liked, but then you also have Bona.
Yes.
And I actually think he's a good backup.
I liked him in our starting lineup better when Embiid was
shot
hurt.
blocker.
I did.
But I mean, let's face it, Drummond, even now, he's still
a rebounder.
A top rebounder in the league,
Oh, and another person we just re-signed to a 3-year deal was Justin Edwards. We just signed him to a 3-year deal. And he was a really good undrafted from Philly.
A lot of these guys definitely took a step forward because they got so much playing time.
It actually worked to our benefit.
So let's see if that is that could be the one positive that came out of this is now the following year when everybody comes back healthy, these guys are also better players.
And the continuity, it's not like we're shaking up our roster that much. I know we didn't get to see the big 3, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But no major roster changes. So these guys got their experience. So let's just hope for a better year. That's all I'm hoping for at this point. I don't have high expectations. I hope for the best, but I don't have high expectations.
It's this where we are right now. It's all down to hope and pray.
Yeah,
for health. I'm not worried as much about Maxi's health and that because he's young.
Yeah,
and McCain. These guys are going to bounce back, and if they're healthy, they're healthy. It's guys that have been chronic, injury people like Embiid
and George,
and he's older.
Yeah,
and he's so big, and George.
Yes.
So if that happens, I think we're gonna,
shake
we'll
up.
We'll be in the mix of the things in the East.
Top 5 in the East, I'll take it in a heartbeat.
This is one of those you can talk about it all you want.
Exactly.
Until you see what happens.
Yep.
It's going to be a wait and see. I'm behind them. That's all I am. I'm a Philly homer.
Yeah.
I'll think positive. Now, if I had some say in this team, I would never just sit there and go into a season counting on somebody that hasn't been healthy to be healthy. I just don't like it. But unfortunately, the way when it's your highest paid guy, there's limited ways that you can handle this.
Nobody could really take
him.
I
think they got to stay with him and hope for the best.
I know. If we went through a full rebuild, I don't know how long I'd be able to stick around for another process.
But a few years ago, I remember that with the Eagles, and they were making moves, and they were counting on some guys that haven't been healthy to be healthy. And they didn't work out that way.
Roseman is a GOAT GM. I know you had your doubts about him, but come on. I know he had.
They have a great roster.
They do.
I guess I got to give them a lot of credit.
The other draft, which we haven't talked Flyers at all, they've been bad for so long. We don't even really know as much as we used to, but it's worth talking on.
This is the first time I'm encouraged by them.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big Rick Tocchet fan.
Yeah.
And if they play anyway like he used to play, then I think it's going to be at least more entertaining.
And I think they're finally on the stretch where they're going to start to try to win. It was so clear that they weren't.
I don't even care about that. What I like is he hired the MMA guy from the UFC, Petrovsky or whatever, to come in and teach him how to fight. I love that.
I love
Let's
that.
get some of that old Broad Street bully stuff back.
They just made a move for the player from Anaheim, Vargas, about a week ago.
That was a good move.
They have a great future in Michkov. And then for the 6th overall pick, they drafted the player Porter Martone. Obviously, we didn't know much about him at all. But he's 18 years old. Born in October of 2006. He was a captain of the Brampton Steelheads, and he finished his last season with 98 points, 37 goals, and 61 assists.
Yeah, that's a good pickup there. And the big thing is he also captained the U.S. National team in 2024. He was the captain of the gold medal team. So, it sounds
Canada.
like
he captained Canada.
Canada. I'm sorry. Oh, he is Canadian.
He was a gold medal.
I thought
he put up 17 points in 7 games.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever. His team that he captained won. I don't really care. But that's always a good sign. I remember back when Clark always wanted Lindros to be that guy, and he never could pull it off. And here you got a guy you picked up at, in 6th pick of the draft, and he captained a gold medal team, and that's when it's not all the pros,
Yes.
It's the basically this player pool of that that you're drafting right now is who makes up that tournament.
Yes, and then we'll just mention, they had 9 picks overall that they took, but we'll just mention their other first-round pick. With the 12th overall pick, they took a center, Jack Nesbitt, from the OHL, where he had 64 points last year. So just good, young talent. I mean, we don't know much about these guys to comment. We've never seen them play. But it just seems like the Flyers are on the right track for a proper rebuild.
Maybe
hopefully.
They'll be worth watching this year.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, there's been the last few years.
I've lost my hockey.
I know.
My love for hockey.
The fun it was a fun playoffs. I didn't watch it, but I heard it was.
Yeah.
That there was like
Panthers won again.
Yeah. The last few years, the Flyers look like they're in the mix. They're in the mix, like at the All-Star break, and then it's just they plunder.
And that's just in the mix to be in that last playoff spot. You got to be a little bit more in the mix.
Exactly.
Maybe, hey, it's going to be tough to bounce back like that, but I think they can do it. I like a couple of these moves.
Yeah.
And especially bringing Tocchet in. Let's see what this guy can do.
He's had a good reputation for coaching.
Yeah, and he's done it as a player and as a coach. Yeah.
So I think we'll wrap up there. I know we try to go into like Chuck's picks, but we don't really have any live picks prepared for today. We do want to try to maybe do that more on Instagram because he has been hitting left and right. So I would say cash out on his picks, and right
now it's big the baseball, and to kind of make it simple, I just try and pick my top 2 or 3 home run guys. So it's something I might be able to just put out. I'll try and maybe even start doing that daily on my own, just to put out these picks. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
But there's been I've been probably hitting once a week for the last 4 or 5 weeks. So that's good. And I put in my $5 or $6 play, but I'm hitting for $800, $900, over $1,000. So they're pretty good sized parlays.
That's crazy odds.
For same game parlay.
Yeah.
So that's something we can have fun with, and maybe if they start hitting, everybody can enjoy that.
And besides baseball, the summer gets a little slow with sports, so maybe we'll find some fun, creative ways to talk about some Philly memories or just some fun Philly topics that add to our nostalgia and our Philly fan experience. So I think we'll wrap it up there. That does a good recap of the last couple of weeks. I know there's been so many other moves and stuff like that. It's too much. It's going to be a long off season. But we'll wrap it up there. And thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you.